Okay, YouTube, we have the final results of the test. Power went out and it's down to 17.9 volts as far as under load, and the time is almost 1 p.m. and it's been 4 hours at a continuous drain. Yep, it just went out. So 4 hours at a continuous drain of 40 amps. And so you say 4 times 40 is 160. So there was 160 amp hours that was used. Now, if you take 200 amp hours and you multiply that by 0.80, which is 80%, then you will get 160 amp hours. Okay, so that is 80%. So 80% is, if you with a 200 amp hour nickel iron battery bank. Well, I'm still trying to work things out, but as I'm talking to you in the dark here. So essentially 80% of 200 amp hours is 160 amp hours. So I have effectively drained those batteries down 80%. And as you can see right here, the voltage is really not down to 19 or so, but now this is, they're resting at 21.2 volts, 21.2. So I don't really think there's any need to worry about my batteries or anything like that. But if I turned off, let's say for instance, I'm going to turn off the distiller. Okay, I'm going to be right back. One moment. Okay, YouTube, I'm back. I've turned off, or basically unplugged, the distiller, and I'm going to reset the battery, the MagnaSine inverter, by switching off the switch here, and I'm going to switch it back on. Okay, and as you can see, the voltage, hopefully you can see that, is 21.6 volts. Now, obviously that's not 18 volts, but I've turned off that huge load of 40 amps as far as the distiller. Now, let's see if we can get the inverter to kick on. And it does. Inverter kicks on. There's only a measly, with all the light, just a little few lights on, there's a measly 8 amps coming from the battery bank. And let's see what it does as far as drive. And as you can see, the voltage is 21.2. So what does that mean? That means I can continue. I can continue until it reaches 18 volts. So I can continue to drag this battery bank down. So it's been 4 hours, and it's been 4 hours at 40 amps. Actually, at one point I was pulling about 100 amps because I was heating my hot water heater too. So I was pulling about just over 100 amps, but I decided to turn that off. So essentially I could probably have a lot more capacity, or I think I have a lot more capacity than the 40 amps times 4. But anyway, for this particular test, just to give you folks an overview here, I have been running this thing for 4 hours at a steady decline, a steady rate of just hovering around 40 amp continuous, and now it's about, I'm pulling about 7 amps from it, and it seems to be doing fine. It's at 21.2 volts. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on a ceiling fan. No, actually, no, I'm going to do something like normal people do. I'm going to turn on the television, and I'm going to come back and check. Hold on. All right, YouTube, I'm back, and what I did was I turned on a television, an Apple TV little component there, and a streaming device, and a amplifier receiver type thing, basically a home audio, visual audio type system, and it brings the amperage up to around 12, and let's see what the voltage, and it brings the voltage down to 20 volts, and at a steady decline I can run this for a long time. Okay, it's already been 4 hours since I've worked these batteries. Now, obviously at the 40 amp hour rate, okay, I will get at an 80% depth of discharge. Okay, I can run, I can pull 40 amps continuous from this bank. All right, now let me turn on something else just to kind of, round things out. Be back in a second. Okay, YouTube, and I'm back. I just turned on a ceiling fan in addition to the, the TV, the receiver, and the little streaming device. And I'm at 15 amps. And it brings the voltage down to 20.6. I'm at 15 amps. Okay. So, and it's going to stay there for a little bit too. Okay, you can see it's slowly trying to, trying to descend, going from 6 to 5. Let me turn on something else too. Okay, YouTube, I stepped away briefly to turn on another ceiling fan. So I have two ceiling fans, a television with audio receiver, amplifier, and a Apple streaming device plus lights, and two ceiling fans. So, and I'm at 16, pulling about 16 amps. And we're just down to 20.3 volts, and we're already over the 4-hour mark, coming up on the 4-hour and 10-minute mark, or 8-minute mark. One moment here, I'm going to go turn on a third ceiling fan. Hold on. Okay, YouTube, I've turned on a third ceiling fan, just so, again, I don't want to sound too repetitive, but I just kind of want to give you the sense of what I'm doing. So, and what I've got turned on. So I have some LED garage lights that are on, this utility room light that's on. I have a television, an Apple streaming device, and I have a amplifier receiver, and I have 3 ceiling fans going right now for a total of 20, just over 20 amps. And so I'm at 19, and so, the voltage is declining. Not fast, but so I've got 19.9 volts, kind of hovering around 20. Okay, so now you saw that obviously the power went out and I was in the dark, but now there's light because I've reduced my consumption. So as opposed to 40 amp hours or 40 amps pulling from the bank, I'm just under 20. And as I mentioned in my earlier video, your battery bank capacity is like having money in a bank, so you can't spend it frivolously. So now I am going to be very strategic in how I use it. Okay, how I use it. I'm still going to keep the battery, as far as the low battery cutoff at 18. It's because once it switches off, it's not really at 18. It'll be around 19. So let me turn on, I'm going to turn the ceiling fans off, and I'm going to turn on my computers and stuff. Okay. All right. Take care, YouTube. I'm going to pause this. Okay, YouTube, I'm back. And what I did was, now I'm thinking strategically. So I've sacrificed 2 ceiling fans. I've got 1 ceiling fan still running. I've turned off the television set, the Apple streaming device, and the receiver amplifier. I've turned those things off, and now I've turned on my router, switches, and computer, and my big monitor. So again, I'm still at 20 amps, and let's see here, and I'm at 19.9 volts. Okay, now I'm going to run my my computer. And let me see, I'm going to go and turn off that other ceiling fan just to see what kind of difference it makes. Okay, YouTube, I'm back, and I turned off the other ceiling fan, and now the only thing that I've got running is some lights, and I have my computer. It's not a desktop. It's a desktop computer. It's not a laptop. So it's a gaming system, so it takes a lot of juice, and a big monitor, huge monitor, and my router and my switches. And so now I'm at 16 amps. I'm at 16.7 amps. And how does that translate in the voltage? I'm at 20.2 volts. All right. Now that right there I can deal with. Okay. So at this point I did that to kind of illustrate what I would be thinking in terms of during a power outage. Okay. My battery bank is low. I got 20 volts in there. I know it's going to cut off at 18 volts. And I know my sweet spot is between 16 amps and 20 amps. That's the sweet spot. as opposed to 40 amps. No, this is when you're like, you know, hey, okay, if I know right now that if I go 40 amps, I can survive. I can last for 4 hours at 40 amps at a consistent, steady 40 amp draw. All right. However, after that, then I'm like, okay, I can't go 40 amps. I can go as high as 20 amps, but if I come down to 15, between 15 and 16, like you see now, and then turn on things as I need them, you know, like for instance, I have those LED lights that I mentioned, like for instance the garage lights, they go off automatically. They come on automatically and they go off automatically. They're motion sensors. So, and the light that you see in this utility room here, the light, you know, there, essentially I turn that off. So if I switch this off now, okay, now I'm down to 14.6. So I'm like, okay, now I know that my sweet spot is between 15 and 20. Okay, now what else can I turn on for my comfort? What else can I do? So I can, you know, essentially I can go in and maybe turn on that ceiling fan or floor fan to keep cool. So now the batteries are doing what I hoped they would do. And so I'm going to keep draining them. And so if you see right here, I'm at 15 amps and 20.3 volts. Again, I still got 2 more volts to go before my system will shut off. And I think I got probably another, well, it's been 4 hours and just approximately 4 hours and 16 minutes. So that means in about 45 minutes will be 5 hours. And I believe I can sustain this. I could sustain this for a few more, for at least maybe another hour, if that. So this is what I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. So bear with me, YouTube. Just bear with me. And the testing continues. Okay, YouTube, and this is the final installment of this particular video series. It's been 5 hours, and right now I'm pulling about 17.2, 17.3 amps coming from the battery bank, and I'm at 19.6 volts. I have been doing this for 5 hours, and I was just on my computer for about an hour, actually about 45 minutes. And I'm sure, you know, with this right here, I can go even further. I probably got another hour or two. It's a steady drain, and as you can see, I mean, really, I mean, with this right here, I can go, you know, at least a couple more hours, maybe an hour, maybe hour and a half, maybe 2. But the point is, at a sustained rate of a 40 amp draw, I got 4 hours. Now, after that 4 hours, then I start, you know, again, thinking strategically, knowing that I've got some more hours in that bank. So right now we're at 19.5 volts, and this is under load, okay, mind you, under load. My computer is still on. Essentially, my office is still on. I have a computer, I have a monitor, I have an office phone, I have a switch, router, you know, 2 routers actually, a cable modem type router and regular Wi-Fi router, and I have you know, speakers turned on for my sound system in my office, and I also have a shredder turned on, and there's, you know, devices plugged in, there's lights on, you know, obviously this light here. So you know, I've got a lot of stuff going, and I'm sure I can probably turn on the television. I could turn the computer off, you know, once I'm done with it. I could turn on my TV, you know, and watch videos or anything like that. I can play music, you know, turn on lights. I can probably go in and you know, gingerly work with my microwave. Just to, you know, obviously microwave takes a lot of juice. So at this point, it's one of those, I turn this off and I turn that on, okay, so that I can pull, you know, power. So the point that I've been trying to make for this entire thing here is to show you folks out there that, you know, these are nickel iron batteries, and if you charge them right, like I was, you know, supposed to, then they would treat you right. And so far 5 hours, the light is still on. I am still off grid. I am off grid. The refrigerator, I have not plugged in the refrigerator. I probably, if I turned off my computer and plugged in the refrigerator, maybe, you know, I tell you what, no, I'm not gonna find out because as far as I'm concerned, the testing is over. I got other things to do. But anyway, this was the final video, YouTube, and hey, thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully this answered a lot of questions that people may have had in terms of what can I do with a nickel iron battery. I've already drained these batteries past 80%. I've already done that, and they're still going strong. And as you can see here, I'm at 19.6 volts. I know for people with lead acid batteries, you would not even consider doing this. It's battery suicide. But with nickel iron batteries, obviously it works. Okay, all right, take care, you two.